Welcome to this episode of Vertical MRO with myself, the host, Val Medved, and my co-host, Mr. Jon Gray of Hangar Z. Today, we've got a thrilling conversation lined up with Mr. Marc Foreman, a helicopter technician, A&P and IA from Oklahoma City Police Department Aviation Unit. Get ready for an exhilarating mix of topics as we delve into tornadoes, aviation advancements, and public safety. As a helicopter mechanic, Marc provides us with an insider's look to the world of aviation, covering everything from the intricacies of fixed-wing versus helicopter maintenance to the challenges and rewards of working on various aircraft. He also discusses the impact of technology on aviation and the highlights of a critical role mechanics play in ensuring safety and efficiency on and off the field. That's not all. We also explore the personal side of Marc's journey, including the invaluable mentorship he received from his stepfather in the industry. Discover the benefits of having a supportive mentor who passes down valuable knowledge and skills. And of course, we can't forget about the public safety aspects of aviation. Marc shares some pretty good insights into the challenges faced by law enforcement aviation units and the crucial role of aircraft maintenance in firefighting operations. Get ready for some fascinating story over Marc's career as he reflects on the passion and dedication that mechanics bring to their work. So whether you're sipping on a coffee, fueling up, or just on your way to work with a Monster energy drink, like Marc, sit back, relax, and join us for this engaging conversation you won't want to miss. This is Vertical MRO. Special thanks going out to our sponsors, Bell and Precision Aviation Group.
Welcome to the Vertical MRO podcast, brought to you by Vertical Helicasts.
All right, everyone, you're ready for contact. You're cleared to the Bravo.
The Vertical MRO podcast explores the fascinating world of helicopter maintenance, repair, and overhaul with your host, Val Medved.
Now, line altimeter 3029, approved as requested.
The podcast features helicopter technicians, mechanics, engineers, and MRO experts who share invaluable industry insight, knowledge, and stories that will inspire current and aspiring industry maintainers.
All right, welcome to Vertical MRO podcast with a great show today. We're going to be dealing with somebody that's going to be well rehearsed in a little bit of safety, as well as some MRO and maintenance on particular fleets here. I'm your host, Val Medved, here with my co-host, Mr. Jon Gray. Say hello, Jon.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? How's it going?
Another day in paradise, right side of terra firma.
That's always a good place to be.
That's always a good place to be, so long as they're not planting plants in our, you know what, right? So we're on a good side of it. We're on a good side of it. So today we're introducing a gentleman by the name of Mr. Marc Foreman, A&P IA Safety Officer here with the Oklahoma City Police Department Air Support Unit. Say hello, Marc.
Hello, guys.
How's life treating you, buddy?
Oh, life's doing well here, so it's good to see you again, Jon.
Yeah, last time I saw you, we were having a drink at the bar at APSCON, actually the hotel at APSCON.
Yeah, I had to actually explain to our finance department why I took an Uber from my hotel to your hotel. I thought it was funny that they Googled to see where I went, but
ow.
Yeah, so it was funny. Finances. The bar at the hotel, as with any of the conferences, you know, people are coming and going at all hours of the day. So you sit down there. It doesn't matter if it's morning or night. You're seeing people coming and going from the conference. I don't know. It might have been that morning, Marc. I was sitting down in the lobby, and one of the folks from one of the companies that we work with comes up. It's like 6:30 in the morning. I'm editing a podcast, and he taps me on the shoulder because I had my headphones on. And we start talking. I'm like, "Oh, what's going on?" I'm like, "You getting ready to head out?" He goes, "No, man. I'm just coming in." He'd been out all night long. Holy cow!
Yeah, I'm too old for that anymore.
For that one.
So,
yeah, good work.
So, anyways, good to see you, Marc, and yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. So that was APSCON. I didn't make HAI this year, so I decided to go skiing. We'll go to APSCON again down in Houston this year.
Perfect. Yeah, I was just going to ask you about that. Both Jon and I will be there, so I'll get a chance to kind of press palms with you there, sir.
That sounds great.
Yeah, man.
Val, did you make APSCON this last year?
Yeah, I did. APSCON's always one of my I've recently, I was either traveling at different parts of the world, but last couple of APSCONs, I've got a chance to kind of go to them. I've had a good time with them.
Yeah.
In fact, I still remember seeing a little bit of your shows there too. So I was going to, I should get to meet that guy. And here we are.
It's funny how those things work out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought Orlando was a great venue. The city itself was cool. The only difficult part was so muggy, walking outside. I think the first day I was there, I was like, I'll just walk from the conference back to the hotel. And it's a mile. About halfway through, I was regretting my decisions in life. I was sopping wet with sweat. So that was the last time I thought I'd walk from the hotel back to So your finance folks didn't understand why it is you're taking an Uber. That's the reason. It's too freaking hot.
Well, now, the fact that I took it from my hotel to another hotel, it's one of those things that they'll pay you to go to dinner or back and forth to the conference. But anything, like we went to Disney one day, just over to the Disney Springs or whatever it's called, walked around and ate dinner. They called that personal and didn't reimburse us for the trip over or the trip back. And I get it.
Yeah.
But to sit there and Google where I went was quite amazing.
Yeah, the joys of governmental work.
Yeah, you have to validate everything.
Pretty much.
Wow. All right. Well, again, welcome to the show, sir. Love to have you on. Good to have you on. Thank you very much for joining us here. John's told me a lot of good things here about you nonetheless. And thanks for kind of doing the other podcast with him as well.
Absolutely.
This one we're going to have a little more fun with here. I promise you we'll keep a smile on your face and anybody who's listening here to kind of talk about it here. We brought this up the other day, but it's going to be one of the questions here. I think it's a great question because outside of the PRM and the DOM, you're a safety officer here. So you get to see the best of the best and the worst of the worst, I'm sure of it. So when somebody comes up to you and says, what's the absolute worst write-up you've ever received on a maintenance request?
Here within our unit, they're not too crazy, but I usually don't get them if they're that bad. I usually don't get them in write-up form. They call me in the middle of the night. There's a post-it note in the middle of my computer so that I can see it. I had a guy call me, and I won't say the worst. It's kind of maybe the most ridiculous. Super young pilot, and I'm out to dinner. He calls and he's telling me how the blue blade is 2 degrees different than the other two. And at first I'm like going, what are you talking about? This is impossible. He's very adamant that it's wrong. So I'm talking to him and I'm telling him rotate it through and work through the problem. And he's just at a loss. I can't believe that we're having this conversation. So I asked him, just center the cyclic for me and then measure the blades again and see where we're at.
I know you're going with this.
He still didn't get it. It didn't click. So he gets down from the head, goes down, centers it, crawls back up. And he goes, man, they're all the same now. I go, amazing. And I just couldn't do anything. So we got off the phone. My wife was sitting next to me. We were at a restaurant. I had a glass of wine. I wasn't going in anyway. So, but I was like, I'm happy to walk you through this. So I called his instructor and goes, man, what the heck? And he goes, no way. I said, yep. So they brought him in for some remedial and talked to him about how gyroscopic precession works and all this stuff. So, but that's kind of that's the craziest I've had.
That's not as well as I thought as far as this was going, but thanks for kind of clarifying that. Your title you read at, you're an A&P IA safety officer at Oklahoma City Police Department. First and foremost, thanks for keeping those guys up and flying. You're an important piece of that puzzle. Thanks for doing that, sir.
No, absolutely, I love it.
You gave us a little bit of a snapshot of what you're dealing with here, but can you just tell us a little bit about yourself there and everything you kind of really kind of walked into where you're at and where you're kind of seeing this career taking you?
Yeah, so I grew up on a farm, small town, Oklahoma, just outside of Oklahoma City. I was with my grandpa, I was with my dad, always, fixing a tractor, fixing a baler or something. My dad was also an A&P mechanic. He passed away when I was in second grade. My mom ended up meeting my stepdad, who was also an A&P mechanic. So kind of destined, if you want, I don't know. But
is it something in the water there that it becomes an A&P or?
Exactly.
Okay.
I always took things, apart as a kid and to see how they work. And I was good at it. I could look at something that was mechanical and tell you, well, that's the power plant or whatever is turning it. I knew how it worked. My brother has 2 master's degrees and doesn't know which end of the hammer or crescent wrench to use. And we grew up in the exact same atmosphere. So it's very funny and comical that I go over to his house and fix things for him. Progressing beyond that, every summer, about 12 to 13, I went and worked for my parents, picking stuff up, sorting hardware. Then I started working on aircraft with some of the senior guys, and it just became fun. In high school, when I worked, I think I had 2 jobs, Little Caesars Pizza, and I worked at the skating rink as a rink guard and a DJ.
Oh, yeah, buddy.
And 2 DJs in the house.
Now you're touching my soul on that one, brother.
After high school, I went to college for 3 semesters, decided that wasn't for me. went back to my stepdad who owned the business, basically just said, I'd like a job. And he said, that's fine, but you're going to get your certificates and you're going to learn. And I said, okay. So I started 19 years old, working for him, just turned 49 last year. So I've been at it for 30 years.
Congratulations, sir. That's a long time of service. Well done, sir.
Yeah, it seems like it sometimes.
You're great because it's happy, right? That's great.
Yeah, I'm also bald. That's because the kids.
They do it to us. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, or pilots. Either one.
Oh, there you go, John.
We're both children, either way.
Bazinga.
But yeah, I started out in fixed wing. I didn't have that much of a rotorcraft background. I had worked on a few here and there. And the guy who was the mechanic before me and my partner for 12 years called me and asked me if I was interested in the position. I thought about it, talked to my wife, and decided that I was. I applied and was lucky enough to get it. So I've been here little over 13 years now. So the past 2 have been by myself. It's a great job. I love the pilots. They're great. So we just added 4. So we just added 1 ship.
The aha moment came while you were in college, where you wanted to go from leaving college, going from a fixed wing and then to rotor wing. That decision to kind of go into rotor was that was a light bulb, proverbially speaking, here.
Thank you to our sponsor, Bell. Bell proudly supports the Vertical MRO podcast and their vision to share valuable insights into helicopter maintenance, repair, and overhaul. Bell is dedicated to keeping our customers in the sky and on their missions with industry-leading global customer solutions.
Yes, it was a lot of family dynamics played into me switching. So I worked for my stepdad and his brother, but I would show up sometimes to work. And by the time that, it'd be 10 or 11 o'clock, my uncle would call me in and say, hey, I've got you on a 3 o'clock flight to, wherever. I may be going to East Coast, West Coast. They don't care. And I'd have to call my wife. We would have 2 kids in diapers and explain to her that I'm going to be gone for a week to 2 weeks.
Oof.
I did all the traveling outside the shop, and then we worked long hours after. A lot of it it was kind of a godsend. I don't travel that much with the city unless I want to, and so it's stable. They're not going to go out of business. I don't have customers yelling at me, saying I need my plane for Aspen this weekend or something like that. So,
Right. What's what is the Oklahoma City PD? What do they consist of a fleet? What are they flying right now?
So we have 3 Airbus H125s. The oldest 2 are 2014 models. We just got a brand new one last month. It's getting ready to go out for completion. Hopefully we'll have it in service by September.
Okay.
Who's doing the completion for you guys?
It'll be Hangar 1 out in California.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So that Hangar 1 is literally 10 minutes from my in-laws' house.
Oh,
So
really?
I'll sneak in there and put a Hangar Z sticker somewhere on your,
There you go.
on your ship.
Yeah. Slap it right in the center helmet
Yeah.
there, right there.
That'll be funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, we leave the 10th of April to take it out there.
Okay. Right
Okay.
on. That's cool.
Good sized fleet, man. That's something that's nothing to shake a stick at. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's been a 3-year process to get it added. Originally, it was just going to stay 8 pilots, 3 ships, make it easier on me as far as maintenance. We had a deputy chief decide that, we can add 4 pilots and then we can go to 24-hour availability. Before, we had 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours at night that nobody was here. So we work 8 to 6 and 8 to 6. This will allow us, to have 3 shifts and make that available, aircraft available.
I was going to say, I guess, yeah, being in law enforcement, you got to be flight ready within minutes there on any one of your aircraft there.
Yeah. Our new hangar that they built us 3 years ago is fantastic, except the hangar doors take a minute and a half each side to open. So you're 3 minutes to open the doors.
Then spool it up.
So it slows them down if the aircraft's in the hangar. We tried to leave it out during the day when they're here. Oklahoma's pretty windy, so a lot of times we bring it in.
We were doing the same thing. Our hangar door is super slow. Because it's so slow, we had a crew at one point that was in a rush to get the aircraft out of the hangar and leave for a call. So they got the tractor hooked up to the dolly and they're towing it out. Well, the front blade clipped the door as it's going up. They were too impatient. That required us to put a a flashing yellow light. It's actually a rotating yellow light as the door is coming up. So you can't move the aircraft out until that flashing or rotating yellow light has stopped rotating, indicating that the door is above a level where the aircraft can get out. We fought that fight before. Unfortunately, we lost.
I gotta imagine in Oklahoma there in the summertime, there you got to be just generally parking the aircraft in the outdoors in the summertime because it's warm enough. I'd imagine it's just you got to keep the interior, got to keep the cabin cooler. I'm sure of it.
It is, and we bought the California pop top covers years back, and they are fantastic. I've got crews that love them. I got crews that they don't like it. They'll just put. One guy uses a golf club cover to cover the cyclic and to keep it cool. It works for him, but they really are a good product.
I've seen a few of those in Louisiana, so I understand that.
Yeah, we love those things too. Funny how similar our programs are. Same number of ships, same type of response. But going back to your hangar, you talked about the fact that you've got a new facility. Is your interior climate controlled and whatnot, or is it are you using swamp coolers, or what are you guys using to stay cool?
It's heated, and then we have two massive swamp coolers, two big ass fans. I guess that's not the brand. I don't know what the brand is, but they're massive. We actually had 4 scheduled to be put in. The lady showed up. She goes, "No, you just need 2. We don't run them maybe about third speed before they start blowing stuff off my toolbox." So they work. Yeah, they work and move some air. But we keep our doors closed, maybe about a 5-foot gap in the afternoons. And the swamp coolers do a good job. And then we also have 2 built-in fans that can suck air through the hangar.
Yeah, it's I can understand kind of you guys are like, especially Oklahoma, you guys are kind of the prairies, but you're meeting some rolling hills there. So you get the hot of humidity and then the winds that come in that accompany it afterwards. It's you kind of, there is no happy medium there. Then put me in my place if I'm wrong, but it's kind of like where I'm at. It's either hot or humid or just windy and heat later on.
Yes. So we have a lot of wind, especially at this airport because we're at the main airport. Everything's flat. There's nothing to block the wind. So when it's coming out of the south, it's moving.
What's that big Air Force base that's right by there?
Tinker.
Yeah. That's a massive facility. Good night of living. Okay. Well, you've talked about the type of aircraft that you're working on and stuff like that. Your schooling and everything had to get done. What would you say your major challenges of becoming an A&P mechanic going into the field that you're in? Generally speaking, what do you think is one of the bigger things to kind of overcome?
In here, as far as general aviation in Oklahoma, if you know somebody, you can get into a good job. You can get into the best facilities. If not, a lot of the people who don't know the business is, maybe decide in high school, I want to go to a VOTEC or something. Most of those kids and most of the VOTECs are programmed to basically deliver all those students directly to Tinker or to the large, AER or SkyWest or somebody like that. In essence, general aviation in Oklahoma is suffering because of that. Nobody wants to get out of, school after being told that you're going to make, this much money an hour if you go to Tinker or to the bigs, and they're hiring them in at, $19 an hour. And so they expect more, even though they don't know anything. So that's one of the problems right now is kind of overcoming the perception of what I should make out of school versus what you will. And if you go to Tinker and you're making that money, there's very few that are going to, out of all of them, that are going to make the flight line and actually be what I call a mechanic. And it's not trying to put anybody down, but they do a lot of specializing where you may just sit there and replace seals and landing gear and you have an A&P. That's a lot of it.
So they're not really tapping into the full potential of what an A&P certification is what I'm hearing.
They're not. It's kind of like getting a degree just to get a job.
Yeah.
So you're going through the process, you get a ticket in your pocket, and then you go over to Tinker. If you start lacing fuel cells or something like that, and then you'll move up. And the people who don't have any drive, they might still be lacing fuel cells in 20 years. But I've got friends that have worked their way up to the engineering program and helped the engineers, and they're making really good money. They're smart individuals and they have drive. And not to say that you can't go over there and be a good mechanic or learn. It's just, in my experience, the most well-rounded mechanics that I know have worked general aviation, seen multiple aircraft from little fabric stuff to corporate jets and everything in between, and that's what I really like about my career is, my favorite plane that I maintain and work on is a 1946 Clickwing Piper Cub. It doesn't have an electrical system. So you get out, you hand prop it, and it's fantastic. But it's so easy to work on after staring at all this, electrical stuff that I look at week to week. It's refreshing and it's kind of just takes you back. It's relaxing.
Brings you back to the basics of it all.
Exactly.
I got you. So in when these kids are coming straight out of the colleges and stuff like that, and they get picked on by Tinker or one of the local big boys around there, when they come to you, that's when they kind of get that real world experience. Are you finding it? Are they too overwhelmed? Are you seeing that they're kind of accepting of it? Are they coachable? Are they able to kind of run up to speed if quickly kind of shown to? Or
Thank you to our sponsor, Precision Aviation Group. Mission-critical operators and fleet managers rely on Precision Aviation Group as a worldwide leading rotor and fixed-wing MRO provider. PAG provides tip-to-tail solutions in 4 MRO segments: avionics, components, engines, and manufacturing DER services. A single point of contact gives you access to over 150 million in inventory globally, 24/7. Just call 800-537-2778. Precision Aviation Group. Others sell parts. We sell support.
Well, so like structures. That's the business that my stepdad owns, is a structural repair station. So you'll get a kid that's got an A&P and he riveted his plates together, or they may have made something else. They've bent up some things. They still can't drill straight holes. So,
oh boy,
they don't make binocular rivets to fill them. So, it's a learning curve. And, if I go back and help him and I don't do it for a couple of years, it's a perishable skill. Sitting there and drilling, 1,000 rivets in a day, it's taxing and it's humbling. It is. So I go back, something I've done all my life, and I'm struggling for the first hour and a half to get back in the groove. So a lot of the kids, that I talk to, and we'll go to the Votex and talk to a couple of classes here and there. And I'll tell them, if you love to work with your hands, you love woodworking, you love to build stuff, look into structures. If you're a hot rod guy, a greaser, a gearhead, whatever the terminology is these days, then look into the maintenance side of it. Out at Tinker, it's like I said, you can't open a panel to work on something behind it without an airframe guy opening the panel. Then say if it's avionics or electrical, the electrical guy has to come over, work on it. Then the airframe guy has to come close the panel. Whereas general aviation, pretty much the same guy's doing all of those, or same person is doing all of those.
You got to be the jack of all trades, master of none of them kind of thing.
And it is, and I hate doing electrical. I can muddle through it, but if it's something that we can get into the radio shop and they've got the spot, then I take it over and we use that. It frees me up to do something else.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that's interesting to me about your profession is the breadth of knowledge that's required to be effective in the position you're in. So it's always challenging. There's always something new to learn. So when you have that potential and you kind of pare down that ability and that breadth of knowledge to the one thing you're talking about as a specialist at Tinker, for example, and I just feel like it does you a disservice from a career satisfaction standpoint, because essentially you're making a trinket in an assembly line. When you compare that to kind of what you're talking about, where you're presented a problem, you've got to troubleshoot it and come up with a solution and implement that solution to get the aircraft back in service for these missions to be successful. I think that is really interesting. And I think that's what, I think for a long career is what draws folks to the industry.
I believe so. And like I said, not to make light or fun of anybody that works at an Air Force base or in any capacity like that. without those people, we couldn't function as a military. So everything they do is a necessity and needed. It's just when I talk to the kids, you need to have drive beyond the dollar. If money is what's propelling you into this career, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons. If you don't have a natural love for aviation or working with your hands, then you're not going to love your career.
This goes kind of back to where we talked to you in the past year, John. The passion of our industry is right next to the heartstrings there. It's you got to have that passion, and once you got it for life. So kind of like you said, looking beyond that paycheck. Paychecks are going to come. There's no question about that, and that's a good thing for you. But at the same time, if you're not passionate about what you do and you're accountable to what you sign off on that you completed, that's kind of the objective there.
Absolutely.
And see that, and there just seems to be you find with this generation of A&Ps that are coming up and kind of stepping into their role, their executive decision making. There is it just are they looking for a little more coaching, or do you think they kind of just going to reference something straight out of the notebooks?
I honestly don't know. The instructors that I see in the schools around here, a lot of them are retired, mechanics, and I don't know if they're doing it because they want to supplement income. I know a few of them, and they're great people. The others, I don't know. I've talked to some of the classes. We looked at hiring a couple of them, and we decided to go a different route. Again, if the instructors, if they're doing it for money and not because the passion of teaching or to share their experience, it's a tricky situation. We have five VOTECs here in the metro area, and they're pumping out A&Ps as fast as they can.
5 in Oklahoma City.
There's
wow.
5 in Oklahoma City.
Wow.
And so we used to have a full high school program that the kids would go through for 2 years. They'd get their general and leave with their airframe. Some of those have cut that, and it's an adults only program now. So you can't learn in high school at a lot of them, but you can still go to VOTEC in Oklahoma until you're 21. If you got into it, right out of high school, you could still finish in 18 months and have your licenses and cost you very little, the tools that you want, or you have to have, then you have to buy. But
are those state funded programs, or is that funded?
It's part of our school districts. So most counties have, larger counties have VOTECs. Right now you have Metro Tech, CV Tech, Francis Tuttle, Gordon Cooper, Moore Norman. So there's actually 6, Middale. I've looked at some of their teacher jobs and to see what they're doing. All the teachers for Middale which was where Tinker is located, are all geared to military aircraft. To be an instructor, you have to know the B-1, the B-52, the KC-135, stuff like that. And that's all they want them for. They just want to feed Tinker. It makes it hard on, businesses like my stepdad. They're trying to get entry-level kids that don't want to work for that, but they don't know anything.
Yeah.
And so it's hard. So he'll find people who are mechanically inclined, and he just teaches them in-house. So once they work there for a while, if they want to get their tickets, he'll sign them off. They go take the test and see what they do. That's how I got my tickets. So it was all practical experience. But the downside to going to school is some of them just teach the test. So it's get it in your pocket and now, off to Tinker. Yeah, they're putting out people into the industry, but not really general aviation. So,
yeah, it's well, for lack of a better term, it's literally just kind of like almost a little bit of a kind of getting them out of the classroom, rotating the next batch in.
Yes,
little risk adverse, if you will. That's probably the designation there.
Here in Oklahoma City at Tinker, they're expanding. So there's rumors that they're going to bring the F-135 or the F-35 program maintenance program here. Pratt & Whitney, they're building a huge facility, $200 million facility for engines. Boeing is building things. They're expanding across streets. It's pretty incredible. That's a 5 to 10 year project. They've got to fill those jobs plus the attrition rate.
I know Oklahoma has a very attractive, there's like an incentive based to kind of attract all the business. So I know of a couple of companies that have moved from California out of California and into the state of Oklahoma, and they were welcomed with arms open, given all types of bursaries and grants and incentives and stuff like that. So I think Oklahoma is the kind of unspoken aerospace hub of our industry here, especially you see a lot more focus in the fixed wing, but I'd like to see a little more rotor wing on that one there too, because look at the size of the facilities that they're capacitating there. It's massive. If you can kind of start turning a lot of those people to be in the rotor department here, it kind of address a lot of our higher retirement rates right now going on in our industry.
Yeah, so kind of along those lines, Mark, I know we talked in the past about some of the recruitment issues that you guys are facing. In public safety, I think from either a mechanic side or the pilot side, doesn't matter what side of the house you're working in, having a difficult time getting folks to sign up to do the job. And I know you guys, you've been doing the job solo for quite a long time. I think you've had a little bit of help here and there, but have you guys had any luck as of recent with the recruitment, and what are you guys doing to kind of change how you're looking at recruiting some of these folks to fill those spots? The Vertical MRO podcast is powered by Vertical Magazine, the rotorcraft industry's #1 trusted multimedia resource. Visit Vertical Mag Media on YouTube to gain access to exclusive videos featuring operators in the field and more unique content from the pages of Vertical. Subscribe today to stay informed and inspired.
Well, our new guy starts the 12th of next month.
All right.
So he's a National Guard guy. So he's got some rotorcraft experience with Blackhawks and Lakota Guard unit here in Oklahoma. So, but that was a multi-year fight to get the pay raise where it needed to be.
Yeah.
And so finally they got it there. We put the job out. We had, I think, 11 applicants. 2 of them rolled me, didn't show up for their interview, but I think this guy's going to be good. He's got passion. He came over to the hangar and he's grinning the whole time. And you could just see that he was happy and excited for the job, the opportunity. And, that kind of feeds me. I can feed off that energy and get my old self moving.
You found a heli nerd, Mark. You found a heli nerd.
Hopefully he can re-energize me a little bit. You spend 30 years doing anything. It's just not quite the same, whether it's your body can't do it anymore. I still play soccer once a week, and for the next 2 days I gripe. Why do I do this?
Good
it
for
hurt,
you.
but I'm out there the very next week doing the same thing. So
You talk about passion. You've got so much passion for the industry, not just the helicopter industry, but public safety and law enforcement in particular. And it shines through what you're doing at your agency, not just as a mechanic, but like Val said, you've jumped into the safety officer role. Can you talk about, what that looks like from your perspective, being a mechanic, but also being the safety officer at your organization?
So when it started, I kind of got it thrown on me. Nobody really wanted to do it. And it went from posting sayings or posters on the wall or in front of the urinal where you've got a captured audience, at least for a couple seconds or whatever, to we actually took the time to invest in going to classes. Myself and a couple, I think 3 guys in the unit are certified to teach safety risk management. We've been to the National Transportation Safety Board, SMS class. And so it's been beneficial. I've been to all the classes on safety that APSA offers. From outward looking in, from command, we haven't crashed. No, everything's going well. You guys, like driving a car. Well, then we explain to these guys, all the accidents that happen nationwide and why they happened, and they start to listen. And so the Swiss cheese model and everything like that. And so I cover anything from moving the aircraft in and out to hangar safety, MSDS, just industrial kind of safety in the hangar.
Yeah.
And then when I find a good article that's based on flight, stuff like that for the guys, then I share with the rest of the group. I don't force it on them. I'm not a pilot, but a lot of them take it and they'll look at it in a professional manner and they're appreciative.
Is there, I got to imagine that a lot of the stuff that you're kind of bringing forth to the individuals there is it's got to be human factor based. And if, having somebody that's like my wife always drops this on me is your emotional intelligence is here, but you're functioning at this rate. Like there's almost like an internal battle sometimes here. I'm sure you have to address that with a mechanic that's either having a bad day because it took a little time to get a little extra to get to work. And I mean, he could be in a state of mind and he could have done something where he usually could have not done that. Is that something that you're seeing that you've talked to or can talk to about?
Oh, absolutely. It's happened to me. So how we do it, since I'm the only mechanic, I have all the pilots look after me. So whatever I finished, I go, hey guys, I just finished the rotor head, go look at it, or the tail rotor, or whatever it may be.
It's good practice.
You can't have too much pride and sit there and go, hey, I'm perfect. I got this. Something sooner or later is going to happen. And it happens to the best mechanics. So you have to swallow your pride and ask for help sometimes.
Yeah.
All of my pilots are really good about helping me. They'll come out. I've got some that they can safety wire. They know how to use a torque wrench. So I just supervise on some of the smaller jobs and let them work, and I'll just sit there right there on their shoulder. I trust those guys. Now I've got a couple others that, I'm just like, just stay in the office. If I need something, I'll call.
Yeah.
But they're really good. Very seldom am I in the hangar by myself. There usually always somebody out there watching me work, asking me while I'm doing why are you doing that? So what do you do here? What do you do here? And it helps me as a mechanic to have an intelligent conversation with the pilot about the aircraft when it breaks. If they come in and go, hey, there's a tail is making a clicky sound, then they walk off, I'm at a loss because now I've got to get another pilot, get in it, and now go find see if we can see the clicky sound or hear the clicky sound.
Yeah.
Versus, hey, the accumulators may not be acting right, or hey, this or that. And give me somewhere to start. Those are the pilots that I love. And with the new pilots that we brought in, that's what we're trying to impart on them, is to learn their ship. I think I told John that my wife's, explanation of electricity is I turn the switch on and the lights come on. That's how it works.
Yep. Yeah.
And, I've worked with pilots before like that. And
you couldn't dumb it down any further on that one, Mark. You couldn't. That was beautiful.
Yeah. So.
I think it's important for pilots to take the time. It's easy to walk through the hangar after your flight and go back into the AC and figure out what your post-flight responsibilities are. The right thing to do is what you're talking about. Come through the hangar, see what's going on, and learn from what's happening. So I love that you're encouraging that. And you talked about you're doing your pre-flights together with your pilots, and I'm assuming your TFOs are involved in that as well. You talk about what that system looks like as you kind of work through one side of the aircraft. Are they on the opposite side? And then what does that kind of pre-flight look like for you guys?
So the pilot and I, we're usually not side by side. Either one goes and then the other, or one will start on the opposite side and then I'll start on the left or something. When we're using our TFOs or even our temps, they'll follow with me or with the pilot. And so we teach our temps, fluid levels, what's normal, what's not, as far as this is how it should look. The A-stars have the cutouts, or at least we do the maintenance steps.
Mm-hmm.
So everything's easily to see, if you've got a flashlight or whatever. So we teach them what to look like or look at and what it should look like after their flights or before they make a flight, and help the pilot out if it's not his normal partner. And then the new members, we do the same thing, but much more in depth. We teach them an entire P-check on the airframe, and then we go over the engine in detail. We make them learn all the components so that they know what it is. And before we go check, they take their check rides and stuff like that. Their instructors are like, hey, yeah, they're good to go. So we'll go grab them and I'll start and just quizzing them and just running them through the grinder. What is this? What is that? What does it do? And if they can't do it, then I give them a hard time. What have you been studying, man? Anybody can fly.
No, I think that's great. I think anytime you can integrate additional resources into the overall safety of the operation, it's huge. You think about tactical flight officers. Well, they may not have the mechanical knowledge to go in and work on anything. They can double check the oil cap's on, the fuel cap's on, the GPU doors closed, like all the little things prior to the flight actually taking off.
The fuel cap not being in the little step slot.
Don't leave it there.
Yeah, I found it there on a couple of mornings.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. It's a commonality more than I think we all know. I know you said and I'm going to ask you this a two-front question here. I know you spoke about your love and delight there. 1946 Piper, you said?
Yes.
I know that's going to be a aircraft of endearment, I'm sure of it. But outside of that, what's a good platform that you kind of like approaching on? What's one of the favorite ones you like kind of turning a wrench on? Stand by for a message after a word from our sponsors.
Thank you to our sponsor, Bell. Bell proudly supports the Vertical MRO podcast and their vision to share valuable insights into helicopter maintenance, repair, and overhaul.
Bell is dedicated to keeping our customers in the sky and on their missions with industry-leading global customer solutions.
Thank you to our sponsor, Precision Aviation Group. Mission-critical operators and fleet managers rely on Precision Aviation Group as a worldwide leading rotor and fixed-wing MRO provider. PAG provides tip-to-tail solutions in 4 MRO segments: avionics, components, engines, and manufacturing DER services. A single point of contact gives you access to over 150 million in inventory globally, 24/7. Just call 800-537-2778. Precision Aviation Group. Others sell parts. We sell support.
The Vertical MRO podcast is powered by Vertical Magazine, the rotorcraft industry's #1 trusted multimedia resource. Visit Vertical Mag Media on YouTube to gain access to exclusive videos featuring operators in the field and more unique content from the pages of Vertical. Subscribe today to stay informed and inspired.
Thanks for joining us on this captivating journey with Mr. Marc Foreman and really getting into the pivotal role of aircraft maintenance and public safety aviation. From the challenges faced by law enforcement aviation units to the critical role of mechanics in firefighting operations, Marc has shared some pretty invaluable insights and fascinating stories from his illustrious career. As we conclude our conversation with Marc, we extend our sincere gratitude for his illuminating perspectives and dedication to ensuring that the safety and effectiveness of an aircraft in challenging environments. His passion for aviation maintenance shines through, highlighting the unwavering commitment of mechanics in safeguarding lives and property from above. To our listeners, we hope you found some inspiration and appreciation for the vital work performed by aviation maintenance professionals like Marc. Their expertise and dedication are essential pillars of safety and efficiency in the skies. Stay tuned for more insightful discussions and stories from leaders in the aviation and beyond. If at least, we hope to have you smiling at the end of the show. Thanks for letting me and our team, the Vertical Helicast team, into your world. Until next time, keep those rotors turning and may you fly in clear skies. Val, over and out.
This has been the Vertical MRO Podcast. Join us next time for another edition of the Vertical MRO Podcast, brought to you by Vertical Helicasts.